At ANAD, we wanted to do this video just to help people with eating disorders get through this holiday. Because Halloween, you know, instead of being something like really fun and joyful, it can just bring on a lot of terror. So we're not just going door to door having fun, getting candy. We're like carrying these burdens of this candy might make us fat, there's too much sugar in it, and people are, you know, talking about limiting how much their kids can have of the candy and having like power struggles and battles over the candy.
I have a really healthy relationship with candy now. I didn't used to. Like, when I was in my eating disorder, I didn't really want much to do with candy. I mean, Halloween was just kind of something to get through.
As a kid, I had a healthy relationship with candy. It was just, you know, you got the candy, you know, from the house, from the person when you trick-or-treated, and if you liked it, you know, you ate it. So.
My first Halloween in recovery was also the year my son was born. And so I was maybe 7 months into my recovery. And I went to Target the day after Halloween, I bought a bunch of candy, and my mom comes over like a month later, and we've got this bowl of Halloween candy. And she's like, oh my God, how do you keep that in your house? How do you not just eat that all at once? And by that point, I had already figured it out. I'm like, because it's here all the time. I'm like, it's not something that like we only get once a year. It's not something that we only get on special occasions. It's in our house all the time. So we don't feel like we have to eat it all at once because it's always gonna be there.
My relationship with candy, it did change over the years. When I became an adolescent, I just remember, and then my body changed, you know, because of puberty and whatnot. I remember becoming more self-conscious about it because I had someone made a comment to me like, are you sure you should be eating that? When I was eating, like, I remember it was a Blizzard from McDonald's with like M&Ms. Someone's like, are you sure you should be eating that? Like, you're gaining weight. And someone said that to me, and it was a family member, and I was like, okay, you know, and I internalized it. And then my relationship with food, you know, candy especially, things like that were sweeter of that nature, it did change, and I was afraid of it. Fear started coming up instead of like, do I like this or don't I like this?
Like, once I had that epiphany for myself, it's like I try to kind of make my kids just kind of absorb that, because I feel like then they have that healthier relationship. Because when I was a kid, it was like, you did only get candy and sweets and all that on special occasions. And there was a very like good food, bad food mentality, and I don't want my kids growing up with that.
I think it was that comment specifically, because I can remember, you know, even with therapists, like when I was in the hospital, and then also when I was working with my therapist, I remember like that was that one comment that kind of set everything up, because I already was struggling with depression, and then I had some self-injury that, you know, went along with that. But then when I had that comment said to me when I was already feeling pretty sensitive and vulnerable, that's when I feel like my eating disorder, I can trace it back then. It just kind of started. That was like the beginning of this spiral, you know, of this hole that I started digging for myself, you know, as a way to cope, you know, with depression and anxiety.
The research on health and weight and dieting, it shows that we've got it all wrong. And the things we're teaching our kids, the things we're teaching in medical school, they're not even supported by research. The research is really, really mixed on it. And it's actually showing that dieting is doing more harm than good. Restricting food isn't healthy. It's not helpful. It leads to binge eating. It causes people to experience shame just about eating, and especially eating foods they like that taste good to them. This is what eating disorders are. Some ways that parents can help their kids deal with Halloween candy in a healthy way is, first of all, just learning about intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is when you eat when you're hungry, you stop when you're full, and you eat what you like, what tastes good to you, what you're in the mood for. So when kids are able to use their own body's cues on eating, hunger, fullness, things they like and dislike, then food doesn't have power over them.
I think that a big reason that my kids know how to intuitively eat is because they do see me intuitively eating. Like sometimes my son will be like, I want broccoli and broccoli and broccoli for dinner and for snack and for another snack. And sometimes he's like, okay, I want my chicken nuggets and then I'm gonna have some candy and then I'm gonna have an apple. And I notice, like I watch him as he grows up, I just watch him like make these food choices and I'm like, you are making all these balanced food choices that I didn't know how to do.
Just focus on loving your kid and give all kids skills of intuitive eating. Even if they're heavier or lighter or whatever their weight may be, they need love and acceptance, and they need to experience joy just as much as anyone.
I have to have candy like every day. That's my relationship with it. Like I love chocolate. That's like my thing. I love it. And so like I always have some chocolate every day. Or like I have a huge sweet tooth, and I do indulge my sweet tooth, and I feel pretty good about it.
ANAD really wants to be here as a resource for you if you're worried about your child's eating, if you don't know if their candy behavior is normal or abnormal, or if they have an eating disorder. Give us a call and let us talk to you about it, because we don't want you to have to be the food police. That's not a fun job. It's not a productive job. It's not a healthy job. Halloween is about being afraid of fun things in a fun way, like monsters and ghosts. It's not about being afraid of candy.
Halloween's just a time to enjoy and to like get together and celebrate and enjoy like people becoming whatever it is they want to be for a night.